Okay, this video is going to look at our figure 8 skating pattern. The reason we do this pattern is to work on our edge control and our turns. And we're looking at three specific things this time around. Of course, you can look at a million different things with every skill or skating technique that you're working on, but you want to have a specific focus so you don't get too far astray from what you're trying to accomplish. We're going to look at three things. We're going to look at finishing our turn on the outside edge. We're going to look at turning downhill, and we're going to look at making sure we have a maximum lean into our turns. So to start out with, we'll look at my skating. Not the greatest, old man hockey player, well past his prime, but we're going to take a look at these three aspects. So first of all, do I complete the turn on the outside edge? First, let's understand the outside edge is actually on the inside leg. So here I'm turning to the left, and this would be my inside skate, and I'm actually skating on the outside edge of my inside skate. So we're focused on making sure we're on that edge all the way through the turn. Now I know when my turn is complete, because when my turn is complete, I'm going in the direction that I ultimately want to go. So in this case, I want to end up going, because I'm making a figure 8, I'm going to end up going that way. So I'm going to make sure I can hold that edge all the way around. And that's challenging. Young players sometimes will have trouble. They'll give up on that edge early, and they'll cross over to compensate. So they'll go like this far, and then this foot will cross over, and then actually this foot corrects their direction and gets them going the direction they want to go. So it actually completes the turn. But our focus is to see if that outside edge completes the turn. So let's take a look here at how I do. I'm on that outside edge, still on it, still on it, still on it, and I'm still on it there. And it looks like I'm headed in the direction I want to go, which is this way. So I would say yes, I completed the turn on my outside edge. So that we could check that box, that I was able to do that. Now the second thing we're going to look for is, did I turn downhill? And by downhill, basically what we're talking about is that we kind of look at our head position, and we can use some lines in the back here as a reference point. So we could use the top of the glass here as a reference point. We're going to look at, is my head going down through the turn, all the way through the turn, or do I come back up? If I come back up, that's more uphill. If I go down the whole time, then that would be considered a downhill turn. So kind of look at my head position relative to the glass, and it looks like I start to pop up right there. So I haven't completed the turn, and I'm standing up. Now why is that? It looks like my leg straightens out a little bit, so I lack some leg strength and maybe confidence on that edge, and so I end up higher. And as soon as I start going up, I lose speed. So I'm down, get lower, lower, that's good. But then here I get up and I lose a bunch of speed. So that's why we want to try to turn downhill through the whole thing. And the last aspect we're looking at is our lean. As we lean into the turn, the more we lean, the more angle we have right here, the faster we will go. So you can see there's mine. Also, that could be a lot more. The faster skaters you're going to see are going to have much more angle, but this angle right here, we want as steep as possible. So just looking, scrubbing ahead. Looks like I finished the turn, but I'm uphill there. Now this one, you can see on the top frame, you can see my angle. It's about the same. Not too good. I'm almost standing straight up. They talk about skaters that stand straight up. A lot of this is what they're talking about, just the fact that we didn't get as much lean into the turn as you could have, and that's because of leg strength, confidence on the edges. So that's what we work towards, more lean, turning downhill, and staying on that edge the whole time. Let's look at a high school level player, and and break it down the same way. So first of all, let's look and see if the turn is completed on the outside edge. So here's where the turn starts. It's kind of on the outside edge, but if you look, there's not a lot of weight actually on that outside. It looks like most of the weight is on the outside leg. So here's the outside leg and here's the inside leg. This is the leg. The inside leg is the one that's on the outside edge, and we want most of the weight to be on that because we want that to control the turn all the way through to there. And let's see if he does it. Okay, so he's given up on the turn right there. And so we can say we need to work on finishing the turn on the outside edge because his toe is actually pointed this direction right now. And so he's given up a lot of speed there. He's given up enough speed to keep him going this direction. And he's going to compensate with this outside leg. It's going to cross over and actually readjust. See, that outside leg actually gets him going the direction he wants to go. But that's bleeding off a lot of speed, and we're giving up some efficiency there by doing that. Okay, let's look for the downhill skating. We look at the wall in the back, the glass. He's going down, 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 down. Oh, very low there. Look, his head is almost below the dasher there. But now watch. Pops right up. Look how much higher he is here than here. Much higher. So he's not turning downhill. And like I said before, it's like pulling a parachute. As soon as you stand up, you're going slower. Sometimes we want to do that in hockey, slow ourselves down to create space. But in this case, we're just working on accelerating through the turn so we maximize our strength on our edges. But look at the lean. As we look at the lean, way more lean than I had. Way more leg strength. It requires a lot of leg strength. Look at that. Look how much lean there is. Look how much angle there is right there. That is a lot of angle. So he's going to be able to generate a lot of speed once we get that turn to be finished. And his turns improve, but still not quite finishing. Look here. Didn't quite. His toe is still not pointing in the direction that we want him to go when he finishes a turn. Okay, one more skater here. Again, does he finish the turn on the outside edge? Okay, now look there. That's the best one. You can see that his toe is pointing in the direction that he wants to end up going. And he's still on that outside edge. So he's still on the outside edge there. And his toes are pointing in the direction that he wants to skate. So he's completed his turn on the outside edge. So that's good. Now, let's see if he's going downhill. Head up well above the glass. Now he's low into the turn. Head is below the glass there. And look, still pretty good. It's still way in. He doesn't start standing up until right about there. So he has completed the turn before his head comes up at all. Now, a little bit more leg strength right here. And he holds that even longer. And he stays low even further. So his next step is to really build up that leg strength. He's got good edge control, outside edge control, but we want him to be able to stay down that whole time. He does not long, he doesn't pop up long, so it's pretty good. Now let's look at that lean. A lot of lean there, a lot of angle. Look at that picture right there. Look at that lean. I mean, he could easily touch the ice. That's why we do that exercise where you put her hand down and kind of touch the ice. That idea is to maximize as much as possible this lean here, and that's going to generate a lot of speed power. Okay, let's look at these two skaters side by side and kind of get a sense of where they're at. Now, what's interesting here is they're both basically in the same spot. You notice their foot's on the red line. Now watch by the time you get to here how much further ahead the guy on the top is than the guy on the bottom. And we can say that's because of the edge control. Right here, the player on the bottom is having to give up on his edge. He's going to now start to cross over right here. And he's going to bleed off a whole bunch of speed because he's having to stand up, get off that edge, and cross over to correct. This player is holding it longer, and it gives him that extra separation. Look at the distance between the red line here, the distance between the red line here. The guy on the top has created more separation. He's going faster because of that edge control. That's why we practice this. That's going to give us an advantage on the ice. So the guy on the top is already crossing the red line. The guy on the bottom isn't quite there. And they were in the exact same spot here. It's a pretty clear illustration of how controlling those edges gives you more speed and power. Okay, right there you can also notice the angle and the downhill. Guy on the bottom is more straight up and down, much less angle, because he had to stand up to compensate. And the guy on the top maintains that angle, and he continues to turn a little bit more downhill. They're pretty close. I mean, if you look at them, again, both of these guys are excellent hockey players. We're trying to make them even better. Here's that angle. Both, maybe the guy on the bottom's a little bit more up and down. Main difference, though, is finishing that edge, finishing that turn on that outside edge. So that's our goal with the figure eight skating.